If you're in your 20s right now, I need you to stop for a second. Take a breath. Slow down. Because what I'm about to say might not make sense today, but one day, it will. Your 20s feel like a race. Silent competition nobody admits they're running. You scroll through your phone and see people building businesses, getting married, traveling the world, buying houses, living what looks like perfect lives. And meanwhile, you're sitting there wondering why you feel so behind. I've been there. I remember being 22, convinced I was already late to my own life. I thought success had an expiration date. I thought if I didn't figure everything out immediately, I would fall too far behind to ever catch up. Nobody tells you how loud that pressure gets. Nobody warns you about the anxiety that creeps in at night when the world goes quiet and it's just you and your thoughts. Here's the truth, your 20s are not about having it all figured out. They're about figuring yourself out. But we don't talk about that enough. We talk about money. We talk about status. We talk about relationships. But we don't talk about identity. And identity is everything. Because if you don't know who you are, you'll spend your entire life chasing things that were never meant for you. In your 20s, you're going to feel lost. Not once. Not twice. Probably a dozen times. And every time it happens, you'll think something is wrong with you. You'll think you're failing. But feeling lost isn't failure. It's transition. You are shedding old versions of yourself. The version that cared too much about fitting in. The version that said yes when you meant no. The version that tried to impress people who weren't even paying attention. Growth feels like confusion before it feels like clarity. And that confusion is necessary. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way, not everyone is supposed to come with you into your future. Some friendships will fade. Some relationships will end. Some people will misunderstand your growth and call it change like it's a bad thing. But change is the whole point. You are not meant to stay the same person you were at 18. If you are, you're not evolving. In your 20s, you will outgrow places. You will outgrow habits. You will outgrow people. And outgrowing is painful. Because even when something isn't good for you anymore, it's still familiar. And familiarity feels safe. But safe is not always right. There will be moments when you have to choose between comfort and growth. And comfort will always look easier. It will whisper to you. It will tell you to stay where you are. To settle. To avoid the risk. To play it safe. But growth demands courage. Growth asks you to risk being misunderstood. It asks you to risk failing publicly. It asks you to step into rooms where you feel like you don't belong. Do it anyway. Because confidence isn't built by waiting until you feel ready. It's built by moving forward when you don't. You're going to fail in your 20s. That's not negativity. That's reality. You'll apply for things you don't get. You'll try relationships that don't last. You'll start projects that don't succeed. And each time, you'll question yourself. But failure is not a verdict. It's feedback. Failure is life saying, adjust and try again. What destroys most people isn't failure. It's their interpretation of it. They see one rejection and decide they're not good enough. They see one mistake and decide they're incapable. Don't do that to yourself. You are allowed to be a beginner. Nobody starts out extraordinary. Every confident person you admire once doubted themselves. Every successful person you look up to once felt lost. The difference is they didn't quit when it got uncomfortable. And your 20s will be uncomfortable. You'll compare yourself constantly. You'll measure your progress against people who are on completely different paths. And comparison will steal your joy faster than anything else. You have to understand something. Social media shows highlights, not struggles. It shows celebrations, not breakdowns. It shows achievements, not insecurities. You are not behind. You are on your own timeline. Some people build careers early and find love later. Some find love early and build careers later. Some change directions entirely at 27. Or 32. Or 40. There is no universal schedule. Stop punishing yourself for not living someone else's life. In your 20s, you'll also learn who you really are when nobody is watching. When there's no applause. No validation. No recognition. Just you and your choices. That's where character is built. It's built when you wake up early even when you don't feel like it. When you stay disciplined even when nobody would notice if you didn't. When you tell the truth even when lying would be easier. Integrity is quiet. But it's powerful. And here's something most people won't tell you: you will feel lonely sometimes. Even surrounded by people. Especially when you start growing. Growth can isolate you. When you stop participating in gossip. When you stop chasing temporary distractions. When you start focusing on long-term goals. Some people won't understand it. They'll say you've changed. They're right. You have. And that's a good thing. Not everyone is meant to understand your evolution. Some people are attached to who you used to be because it made them comfortable. But you cannot shrink yourself to fit old expectations. In your 20s, you need to learn how to be alone without feeling lonely. Because solitude teaches you things noise never will. It teaches you self-awareness. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you how to sit with uncomfortable emotions instead of running from them. Running feels good in the moment. Distractions feel good. Temporary pleasure feels good. But temporary comfort creates long-term regret. And regret is heavier than failure. You will regret not trying more than you will regret failing. Take the risk. Start the business. Have the hard conversation. Move to the new city. Apply for the opportunity. Speak up. Because the older you get, the more you realize that time is the only currency you can't earn back. You think you have unlimited time in your 20s. You don't. The habits you build now will either support your future or sabotage it. The discipline you avoid now will cost you later. The health you neglect now will demand attention later. The dreams you postpone now may become fears later. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Your 20s are foundational years. They are not the final product. They are the construction phase. And construction is messy. There will be doubt. There will be mistakes. There will be days you question everything. But don't confuse confusion with failure. Confusion means you're exploring. You're experimenting. You're learning what fits and what doesn't. You're discovering your values. And your values matter more than popularity, more than approval, more than looking successful. Because at the end of the day, when everything quiets down, you have to live with yourself. So build a version of yourself you respect. Build discipline. Build resilience. Build patience. Stop chasing quick results. The strongest foundations are built slowly. And please, understand this, you do not need to prove your worth to anyone. Not to your friends. Not to your family. Not to strangers online. Your worth is not determined by your income. Or your relationship status. Or how many people follow you. You were valuable before you achieved anything. And you will still be valuable even if you fail at something. Don't tie your identity to outcomes. Tie it to effort. Tie it to growth. Tie it to character. Because outcomes can change overnight. But who you are stays with you. In your 20s, you're going to discover parts of yourself you didn't know existed. Strength you didn't know you had. Weaknesses you didn't want to admit. Face both. Face your strengths with humility. Face your weaknesses with honesty. Self-awareness is power. And power doesn't mean dominance. It means control over your reactions. Control over your habits. Control over your decisions. Life will test you. It will test your patience, your discipline, your confidence, your ability to keep going when nothing seems to be working. And in those moments, remember this: progress is invisible before it's obvious. Just because you don't see results yet doesn't mean nothing is happening. Seeds grow underground before they break through the surface. Keep planting. Keep watering. Keep showing up. Because one day, you'll look back at your 20s and realize they weren't about being perfect. They weren't about being ahead. They weren't about impressing anyone. They were about becoming. Becoming stronger. Becoming wiser. Becoming more self-aware. Becoming resilient. Becoming disciplined. Becoming you. So if you're in your 20s right now, stop panicking. Stop comparing. Stop thinking you're behind. You are building. And building takes time. Trust the process. Trust the discomfort. Trust the lessons. And most importantly, trust yourself. Because one day, you'll look back at this chapter and realize it wasn't too late. It was just the beginning.